I'm Ryan Cohen with Flying U Cattle, and recently I was looking for another side-by-side, and I was interested in the Can-Am Defender, and when I got online to find reviews, I found the only ones were done by individuals that were being sponsored by Can-Am or by Can-Am dealers, and they weren't very realistic because all they talked about were the positives. And so I want to talk about the Can-Am Defender that I bought. We ended up buying a HD10 XT and a HD8. We use UTVs quite heavily on the ranch, and so I was going to do a review for someone who's looking for how they are as a utility vehicle, how they are in practicality in the ranching world. Thus far I really like it. I put almost 300 miles on it, and I've had it a week, and so we use them quite a bit to cover pastures and cover distance. Things I like about it: it has a heavier frame than other UTVs. The last UTV we had was an Arctic Cat, and we did a lot of welding on the frame, a lot of building on the frame to beef it up so that it could withstand the abuse that we give them. And the Can-Am just has a heavier frame from the factory, and I like that. Another thing I like about the Can-Am is its steering and its gauges. Its power steering is amazing. It turns wonderful, and it turns sharp. It really maneuvers. For being a little bit bigger machine, it really maneuvers really well. I don't want it to seem like I'm hounding on negatives on it. Overall, it's a great machine. I like it better than my Arctic Cat. I like it better than the Polaris Rangers. But I am going to point out things so that you know things that I don't like about it, I wish Can-Am would change, or things I found uncomfortable or not very user-friendly. I can tell you the bench seat is not overly comfortable. The bench seat in my Arctic Cat HDX is way more comfortable than this. After sitting in this for an hour or so, my back does start hurting. But what's nice about the bench seat is it is adjustable forward and backwards. My wife's only 5'2" and I'm 6'2", and so it definitely is easier for both of us to use the same machine. Another feature I don't like, and they never think about the ranching or the farming world when they build these machines, they're just thinking recreation, and that's that you might as well just take a shovel and just shovel grass seeds and stuff into the radiator. This lower access into the radiator just gets so plugged up with grass seeds, and I'm building a screen to put in there, but it's terrible. You might as well just shovel grass seeds in there, as bad as it is. And something they don't think about is cleaning that radiator out. This radiator is hard to get to. Now I will say this radiator is set up pretty high, and so the top half or 3/4 stays pretty clean, but that bottom quarter to a half of that radiator is just going to instantly be plugged with grass seeds and with dirt. Now I'm going to manufacture a screen to go across there, like I said, and that'll help. That'll almost solve the problem. But I wish they would do something from the factory to protect that radiator, because then we're just going to be battling this overheating from the very beginning. Something I really like about the Can-Ams, I don't like the price tag because their accessories are expensive, but this bumper, and I got the extra bumper plates on it, it is heavy duty, and it's gonna stand up to the test of time. And as you can see, I've already put that to use. And so I will say the accessories when it comes to the bumpers are fantastic, and so ridiculously expensive, but you want to protect the front end of that machine, and that one's probably definitely worth the money. Going around this side of the machine, it has a wonderful box, and we do a lot of carrying. We carry a lot of salt and mineral. I'll put up to, well, the other day I had 16 bags of salt and mineral in here, and 16 bags weigh 640 pounds, and I haul it several miles across pasture to go put it out, and it did good. I had to turn the suspension up to make it a little bit stiffer, but it definitely did the job. And so I like how big the box is. I like the dump on the box to clean it out. That's definitely a feature that Can-Am has. Arctic Cat has a nice box on it too. I feel Can-Am's is a little bit heavier duty, and that's something I find important in the ranching world or the farming world. Just going around the rest of the machine, as with any UTV or side-by-side, the stock tires, they look awesome, but it wasn't a matter of 2 days and we already had 3 flat tires. You just instantly had to fill them with that slime. Otherwise, they don't have a heavy enough ply wall on them. Eventually here, we'll wear them out and we'll put a lot heavier tires on them. But I think that's the way it is no matter what you do. This machine has a lot heavier brake pads than what other side-by-sides have, and where you're hauling heavier loads in the back of where we are, we go through brake pads, and I like that. It's just built heavier duty, and that's something that I really like. Some features that other features I don't like, and I know they do it for safety. It's not practical in what we do. You have to have the seatbelt plugged in to go over 10 miles an hour. I understand the concept behind that, but all a person ends up doing is plugging that seatbelt in behind the seat so you can hop in and go. And then when I'm going down a county road or heading off a long distance and I'd like to buckle my seatbelt, it's hard to get it unbuckled and get it pulled out from behind the seat and buckle. So I actually find that a safety hazard in our use of this side-by-sides. I understand their concept, but it's not very practical for us, and I wish they'd change that. I'm scared to cut the wires and wire nut them together in case some electronics will shut it down. I'll probably try it eventually. But other than that, I'm thinking about the inside. A feature that is not very handy that Can-Am needs to think about is it's not a shift on the fly 4-wheel drive. Our last side-by-side was that Arctic Cat HDX, and it was shift on the fly 4-wheel drive. Way more practical if you have time to stop and put it in 4-wheel drive. If you're like me, you're not thinking that far ahead. When you need 4-wheel drive, you need it. And so that's one feature I do not like. I do not like having to stop to put it in 4-wheel drive. I didn't think about that before I bought it. It's not the end of the world, but I've already been in a couple situations where it's come to bite me. You know, they have nice heavy roll bars. I like that. We're climbing. I've never rolled one. I've come close going up some hills, and so overall I find it a very safe machine. But like I said, things I don't like, the radiator placement is very poor. The seatbelt deal irritates me. I understand the concept and the safety about it, but it actually, in my eyes, makes it more unsafe because we bypass it and we can't use the seatbelt when we want to. The not shift on the fly 4-wheel drive, I think, is a real downfall of this machine. But other than that, I like it. It has a 2-stroke motor. It's quiet. This HD10 has plenty of power. I don't think we're ever going to have power issues. And it's, like I said, it's quiet. And if it wasn't for everything else that's comfortable about it, riding all day or being in it for several hours, except for that bench seat does start to hurt my back a little bit after a little while. I wish they'd make it more cupped, a little bit more comfortable. But those are the main features that nobody talks about not liking because they're trying to sell them. And so overall I give this a very positive review, but I just wanted people to be aware of those drawbacks that I find in it, so when you're going to look for a side-by-side for yourself, you can take that in consideration. I've had an Arctic Cat HDX, which I love that machine. It wasn't built as heavy. Like I said, we welded on the frame a lot, but the seats were extremely comfortable. Shift on the fly 4-wheel drive, only a 1-stroke motor, so it was a lot louder. And the motor was underneath the seat, so your seat would get hot. I think I'm going to really like how this is different. It's 2-stroke motor, runs quieter, motor set out back. Something about servicing this machine, and I have changed oil for the first time. It has an internal oil filter, which is still pretty easy to get at. The oil fill is easy to get to, and so servicing this machine is pretty user-friendly. And we service them regularly because we want them to stay top-notch. Other than that, like I said, I give it a very positive review, but I wanted to point out those negative things that nobody else talks about in their reviews. I think because they're being paid by Can-Am or they're a dealer and they're trying to sell it. And so I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. I recommend the Can-Am Defender. Like I said, we bought an HD10 XT and an HD8, and we used the heck out of both of them. And please look in the future for more videos as I review other pieces of equipment that we use here on the ranch.